Hi, welcome. In this video, once again, I want to just take a couple minutes to respond by way, again, Kevin Murdaugh. Title of this video is Big Mouths Act Like Peas when it comes to debate, tagging myself and another individual that I hadn't heard until now called I Hate Dogs. And so apparently Murdaugh's goes on multiple channels or whatever, wanting to debate people, thinking that's where it's at. And again, I talk about the whole thing about my perspective regarding debate. And in this video here, if you go and watch it, you'll hear me talking about that. In fact, going into 2026, am open to having conversations with individuals. Again, I've gone on to Miracle Canine. You can check that out. We're engaged in over a 2 hour discussion, debate, where I go through and again I point out all the controversies happening in the dog training community. In fact, my series called Flipping the Script goes into all the controversies, and again, talking about why it is that they are no accidents or coincidences when it comes to the source of the problem in the dog training community. Now, here's the thing. Again, I talk about the whole context of debate for me. Again, I talk about the system of training. The system is a complete original source system of training. The system of training answers the questions as to what defines a process. And again, if you make the connections in terms of just the current state of the dog training world. And again, I go through all of it to show what the problem actually is. And again, including Murdaugh's approach, which again, I've profiled his approach, in terms of, again, of his kind of quasi Caesar Milan approach, where I show again the holes and gaps that again opens the door up to problems. Again, if you watch the videos, even with his own dog, with Goose almost taking the hit, you'll see Murdaugh struggling with dogs. They're putting out just a moderate level of challenge, and again, how why trainers get blindsided. And again, problems in the dog training world related to those who jump in to a process without considering what a process even represents. Again, talk about predictable outcome coming out on the other side. So here's the thing. Again, you'll see Murdaugh go on trying to kind of score points, taking certain things I say out of context. But because here's the other issue in terms of my not wanting to have a discussion with Murdaugh. Okay, understand that it's based again on his trash talking, cheap shotting ways. And that's, you go watch his videos, you can go and read his comment section with these characters. It comes down to the issue of separate and apart from even dog training, not wanting to sit down with someone like him to have a conversation uh, based on his bad attitude. Okay, I mean that's what it comes down to. So, but on top of that, I talk about, I call it the question of the century. Well, you go read it. It goes to the heart of the matter. All the cheap shotting and distractions and background noise of these trainers has it doesn't answer the question. It doesn't even. It's merely just basically watch this hand, don't watch the other. It's merely just bait and switch. These trainers, they can't talk about the real issue, and they won't. So here they resort to putting out videos like this, thinking somehow they're in control. That's really what it comes down to. They're like trying to, score some sort of points, try to gather up more likes and views. It's just nothing more than a bunch of virtue signaling. So here I want to play some of this because here, this part of here, he goes on about having a problem now with this I hate dogs individual.
That maybe you actually do have answers that other people don't. And when it comes to people like the I Hate Dogs individual and other I Hate Dog related channels, I've left comments on this person's channel. He talks a big game, acts like he wants to claim he's the expert. These internet people are the experts. Get the fuck out of here, man. And I've left comments on your channel. First, being nice and polite, offering an opportunity to have a discussion.
It's the same thing. So, here you got Murdaugh. And again, I talk about an original source system. Here's another point: is all he's doing here is simply mimicking. Okay, it's like he's shadowing another approach by way of, again, you talk about Brandon Fouché and Cesar Millan. That's all it's about. I talk about the issue about actually as an individual, and I mentioned this multiple times in my videos about not just him, but in general in terms of the dog training world, those who identify or as balance trainers, force free trainers, as individuals, and asking the questions as to what defines training. And then again, looking at all the controversies that are out there. Anyone can go and do their own kind of audit. The same opportunity for Murdaugh exists for anybody else to be able to ask the questions that, in terms of what is the source of the problem. And again, he's no different than all these other trainers who have just, taken a hold of this, this inherently problematic idea of what training is, and now trying to just, come off as though he okay he's got the answers. And it's very obvious to anyone who's watched his, or should be watched his method, he doesn't. So again, just playing the same game as these other trainers like Zach George and everybody else. He's no different. I mean, that's the point. So here he's going on this whole thing about, like, he wants people to pay attention to him, and then if he doesn't get attention or whatever, this is what he does. He just wants to try to cheap shot and go on. But again, it's just like getting thrown on the rocks of this ideology.
You never responded. Then in my other comment on a more recent video, I had asked, are you willing to debate your position? No response. I can't take these people seriously. What is the point of...
So he says, I can't take these people seriously. Well, how about, like, I don't take him seriously. Okay. I mean, this is the thing that kills me is, like, these people coming off like they put themselves in positions as though they just entitlement. It's like automatically, they're in control. If people don't debate them, then that just automatically means that they're right, that they have the authority. And the question asked is, what's that even based on? Okay, again, considering they haven't even asked the questions that need to be asked. So this is nothing more than totally self-focused stuff going on here on social media, and he tries to turn this all around. And again, the type of followers he gathers up to try to, elevate himself, just go and look at the characters here.
Of putting on this big show and acting like you have answers or expertise when you won't debate people who are going to call you out on your bullshit. And
No one, I mean, here's the thing: is no one is obligated, okay, to sit down and have a conversation with this guy. Okay, I understand he comes off like it's just, and if you go, and here's the thing, and this is nothing new here. Understand when I talk about guys like in the past, like Christopher Upton, you go watch his videos. I would really encourage, and you're going to see the exact same language, the exact same attitude. This whole thing with demanding debate. I went through this whole thing with Christopher Upton in the past. It was a complete joke, a complete joke. It's just like they feel like they have to do something, and they're unsettled. Okay, and there's a reason for that. They're unsettled, and it's like they just you keep going on and on and on. There's nothing to go on about. I mean, the dog training world's a mess for a reason, and they're part of it. I mean, that's the bottom line. They don't want to be part of it, or they want to try to, and this is what you're seeing here. And Upton was the same way, trying to create some sort of a special category where they're separate and apart from the mess of the dog training world, and they're not. They're not. I show very clearly that there's not more than one way to train a dog. Okay, that's all. And when you consider even that statement, it's all based on appearances. This whole thing, the problem within the framework of response itself. I talk about that. Appearances are the problem. Lack of depth, lack of making the right connections to establish what even defines a process. And Murdaugh is in this same trap. Understand, there's no way out. So, and he carries on this way in terms of debate, trying to gin up something. So this is why, again, you see the titles of his videos, right? How he comes off arrogant, cheap shot, right? There's no, if you know what you're talking about, there's no reason to respond. There wouldn't be any reason to respond that way. But because again, the information I put out is specific. Okay, go look at I call it the question of the century. What's the criteria that Murdaugh is using to establish that perception of dogs are changing the right way? What is it? There it is. He can't answer that. Okay, because his approach, okay, is not based on a proper process that reconciles the core. I talk about the core ingredients, at the social level. So he's dialed in terms of, I talk about surface stuff here, Fouché, Milan. It's no different. I've done extensive videos on this in terms of the holes, the gaps, the problems. So again, no different than any other trainer out there. Appearances, why trainers get blindsided. Appearances are very deceptive, especially when it comes to the dog training world. So all to say that my response to this is no different. Um, you know, he thinks he's got some sort of leverage here or in control. He can carry on all day long this way. It doesn't matter. He can gather up. It's no different than Zach George gathering up thousands of followers. Like big deal. I mean, you can gather up all these people, tell them what they want to hear. Doesn't change a thing. The truth is the truth. And I put it out there, and based again on the current state of the dog training world, these are established dog trainers. They don't like the information. That's the bottom line because they already made their choice. Understand these trainers have already made their decision. They're in a trap they can't get out of. Murdaugh is no different, and that's the bottom line. Thanks for watching.